Hello, Syngap land. My name is Michael Graglia, and this is episode 140 of SYNGAP1, your 10-minute weekly briefing on everything you need to know about SYNGAP1. Admittedly, I've done a terrible job of keeping this down to 10 minutes, but this is life. So much good stuff is going on. I want to point you guys first to, and it's good stuff happening across and throughout SRF, which is really going to be the theme of my talk today. So Jackie Can't See Her wrote an article on profound autism, and essentially what she's saying there is there's a lot of very vocal people, high-functioning autistic people who are like, autism isn't a disability, it's just different, And the trouble is, fine, and there's kids like ours who have profound autism, and it is a disability, and it is severe, and their life is hard, and we're bucketing them all under autism, and that's not the same. And Jackie writes this beautiful piece at the invitation of some American physician groups, and it's really worth reading. I think it's something every family should read. I think it's something every family should internalize. I think it's something every family should send to the caregivers and people who touch our kids, especially these green ABAs who have no idea what they're doing. Anyway, separate conversation. There's some great ABAs out there, and there's some new people who are really just not, and it's a separate problem. So read Jackie's article. It's really, really good, and I'm just so proud to have Jackie affiliated with SRF as the director of advocacy. And then if you read that article and you say, wow, Jackie's incredible, I could never write that or put all those words together that way, which is kind of what I said, go ahead and watch Brett. Brett is also brilliant, but he really has a gift for just communicating quickly and tightly. And I love that about Brett. So he has a YouTube channel. He's a professional communicator. And he's raised, as he says in this video, over $500,000 over the past 3 years for Syngap through his YouTube channel and the Cannonball. So we love Brett. But one of his viewers said, "Hey, dude, what's wrong with your face? You got a big old scratch." And he was like, "Let me answer that question. Well, I got a kid with Syngap, and sometimes I get beaten up a little bit." But the way he explained that and the way he connected all the dots in 1 minute and 50 seconds was really, really tight. Good job, Brett. And so links in the show notes to the tweet with that video. Go watch that. So that's just good stuff coming from leaders in the Syngap community. And then speaking of the Syngap community, guys, we just flexed our muscles on Saturday. We raised $250,000, $243,000 from 844 donors. So almost $250,000. I'm sure we'll get there. And incredible work. There's so many people. The Tavillas, of course, were about 2/3 of that. They have just taken this event, made it their own. But on top of the Tavillas, Phoebe's Fight came in at 27,000. Kaya came in at 6,000. Reef came in at 6,000. Kira came in at 7,000. Hadley 6, Louis 6, Chase 3, Naya 2, Theo 4, Grayson 2. They don't put these in numerical order on this site. Very confusing. Anyway, all I'm telling you is Sprint for Syngap was a huge success, and I want to take this moment to share two stories. Talk about Kaya's mom. I'm going to talk about Reef's mom. So Kaya's mom was diagnosed a little over a year ago. I remember because right when she was diagnosed, it was like, "Hey, Sprint for Syngap. You should go to a Sprint for Syngap." She's like, "Dude, I just got diagnosed. What are you talking about?" I said, "All right, fine." But she called me this year. She said, "Look, I'm ready. I want to do something. I want to help. I'm going to do an event." We said, "Great. This is how you do an event. You set up a page. We'll send you a banner. Go." And I said, "I'll come. You're like an hour away." So we drove out there on Sunday, and I was so touched and overwhelmed by this event. It was it's super well done. Clearly, Mom had worked really hard and just knocked herself out. And B, her community had rallied around her. All these people wearing Sprint for Syngap t-shirts with Team Kaya on the back and Syngap Research Fund logo and our ICD-10 code and all the things we put on the back of shirts. And I was like, that's incredible. And then I was just, they were very proud. They raised thousands of dollars, and they should be. But what I saw was this. I hope I get this right, Zoe. I think Kai's 4-ish, maybe younger. Maybe Kai's 3. I'm sorry, I can't keep them all straight. But I saw this whole community, over 100 people who know about Kaya and know about Syngap, and they are going to be her neighbors and her friends and her community. And as Kaya grows up, our kids are so cute and adorable and wonderful. And then sometimes they have bad days. Sometimes they throw temper tantrums. Sometimes they elope. Sometimes they wind up in your neighbor's kitchen naked. Might have happened last couple months ago here, but you just never know what's going to happen. So the strategy of loving them and locking the doors and keeping them in your house and hoping nothing goes wrong isn't a good strategy. The strategy is tell everybody about Syngap. Tell everybody there's hope, that there's better medicine, that they can support the Syngap Research Fund. And in doing that, help them understand and learn to love and learn to see your child who has this disease. and understand that that disease includes epilepsy and autism and intellectual delay, and our children need grace from their communities. And that's exactly what Zoe did. When she threw this beautiful event and she raised money for SRF, in doing so, she has begun to catalyze a community around Kaya, and Kaya is going to need that community. All our kids need levels and levels of support, local, national, global. And then, same story, different mom. Reef's mom, diagnosed a while ago, called me this year, said, I'm going to do an event. I said, go for it. She said, all these questions, text, question. I said, yes, go, do, yes, absolutely. Because yes, we need the money to fund science, and you need to build a community around your kid, around Reef. And parents are amazing. She called me one day. She said, I'm getting all these questions. People don't understand what Syngap is. I'm going to make a video. I was like, hey, videos take time, but good luck. But people spend months on videos. She's like, I got someone coming over tomorrow. We're going to put it out next week. I was like, and they put it out, and it's really good. I got to tell you, I'm not sharing the link yet because we shared it on Facebook and they used it for their event, but it's so good. We're just going to tweak a couple things and make it like one of our family videos on our website. So incredible job. But mom texted me yesterday and she said, it was just so good. It was so good. I said, how was it? So good. I felt all this support, all this love from my community. That's the point, guys. That's the point. This is life. You give and you get more back than you give. Right? So when you reach out to support and build the Syngap Research Fund and to say to people, go to this website, read this information, support this organization, help my kid, then these people learn about your kid and you start building levels of support around your kid. SRF is here to support these children. And I was struck. I was talking to Heather Messemaker. Is it Global Genes this week? And I was texting with her. People go to conferences and they hear stuff like, Mike, are we doing this? What about this? You know this person? Sometimes I know him, sometimes I don't, whatever. And then last week, Vicky was actually speaking at World Orphan Drug Conference. So Vicky was in Boston last week. Heather was in Philly last week. Next week, I'm going down to LA for Milk. And every week, it's nuts, guys. There's so many conferences. Even if I wanted to go or could go to them, could leave my kids, and because Ashley has to work, right? So I can't travel all the time. But even if I wanted to go to all these conferences, it's just not physically possible. Right? You need a team. You need a bunch of people with the same business card, Syngap Research Fund, going to these conferences, running into regulators, running into government, running into other rare disease groups, running into researchers, scientists, running into doctors, clinicians. That's what it takes to build a greater awareness about Syngap so that Tony and Reef and Kaya and Thomas and Amelia, all our Syngapians, have a world that knows about them and learns about them and is ready to support them. And I think this is where I want to make my point for the day. This is an important point when you think about everything I've just said about Jackie's work and about Sprint and about Brett being out there telling his entire community about Syngap. And I'm going to go a little dark. I apologize. I'm going to go a little dark. Once you get Syngap, you're in the shock phase. What's going on? Right? And then you're in this learning phase. Oh my gosh. And then you start thinking about the future. And then you have this thought that unfortunately, once you think it, you just can't unthink it. And the thought is, what's going to happen to my loved one after I pass? Who's going to take care of Tony after mom and dad are gone? Because if God is kind, we're going to go first, right? I don't want to bury my kids. But then who knows all of Tony's idiosyncrasies? Who understands that the slightest med change can change anything? Who understands that if he can't go to sleep, it might be because he needs more of melatonin, but it also could be because he hasn't pooped that day? Who is going to possibly understand all this and be able to take care of my beautiful son after I'm gone? And that's a multi-level question, right? Where is he going to live? Who's going to feed him? You can plan for these things, right? Where is he going to go? Who's going to educate him? Who's going to take care of him? If he has a bad day? How's the police department going to know about him? Who's going to keep track of his meds? But then when something does go wrong, because things occasionally go wrong, when you get a new doctor, when you go from a senior doctor who finally retires to a new person who can't spell Syngap, who's going to explain to them, these are the 3 papers you need to read? Who's going to talk to that ER physician and be like, no, this is an epileptic encephalopathy. You need to do these things. Who's going to tell someone, do not move to that state? They have a 27-year waiting list for services. Whatever you do, think carefully about where you live. Who's going to get on the phone with the school district and help in that IEP meeting where the school is saying dumb things like they're misbehaved, they need to be suspended? You can't suspend them. This is a medical condition. Who's going to do that? When I was diagnosed, there were 100 some patients. Now there's 400 in the US. And in the years to come, we're going to hit 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. They're coming, guys. I see the diagnoses every week. I'm now getting questions. I got a question yesterday from a testing program that said, hey, Mike, we have a VUS. And I forwarded that email to our CSO, Catherine, and to one of our researchers, Dr. Courtney. And in a matter of hours, there were emails flying about this mutation and about the potential implications of a specific mutation. And they called the Syngap Research Fund. Why? Because we are the leading authority on SYNGAP1. But here's my point. You know, when SRF started, admittedly, it was a mom and pop operation. It was Mike and Ashley terrified about Tony's future and said, we got to make a drug. So we made a drug. That was level one. Make drugs. Make better drugs. We gave a grant to Dr. Hugh Kinnear, and that technology is out and about. And then we said, we're going to need a clinical trial. There's no patient data. The current registry was a mess. So we launched Citizen. Okay, now drugs, Citizen. Wonderful. Okay, ready. Let's do this. Clinical trials. Need 8 endpoints and biomarkers. Don't have endpoints and biomarkers. What are we going to do? If you went to the conferences here, you heard about EEG biomarker work that is funded by SRF. And then right now, the board of directors has this. We just got a memo yesterday from the CSO saying, hey, here's what we think we should fund. $900,000 of work. And I'll tell you right now, we couldn't even consider that if Sprint hadn't just happened, because we as soon as we get money, we give grants, right? So basically it's this constant game of, do we have enough money to fund this much work? And then we prioritize the work and we fund what we can, right? There's limited resources here. So because of Sprint, there's a really cool project on biomarkers that we're probably going to be able to fund. There's things that we're not going to be able to fund, but maybe next time. But what's my point? So level 1, drugs. Level 2, data. Level 3, biomarkers and endpoints. Level 4, clinical care. Now we have this natural history study at CHOP. We need to expand that natural history study to other places. I see people going to see doctors. They're getting really mixed care. I'm being polite right now. Some doctors do a great job of taking care of our kids. Some doctors don't. Horror stories. How do we improve clinical care? How do we get guidelines out there? How do we expand the natural history study? That's level 4. But here's my point for this talk. As I think about Jackie doing advocacy and Brett doing public communication and Vicky and Heather going to conferences and Sprint for Syngap happening and this pile of grants on my desk. And I look at my 10-year-old son and I realize he's going to be 20 and 30 and 40 and 50. And I don't know how long I'm going to be here on earth. And I say there needs to be, for this growing population of Syngapians, an established institution that eats, sleeps, and breathes Syngap. And I don't mean Mike working in his home office and Lauren out of the goodness of her heart working in her office in Colorado and an army of volunteers helping. I mean an office with staff and an institution and a 800 number and a huge website and a massive registry and the might to advocate for our kids and track our kids and make sure that every Syngapian in America is taken care of. Yes, we have global partners. Yes, it's a global organization. I'm focused right now on Syngap Research Fund 501c3 USA. How does this organization continue to grow and turn into an institution that is a powerful advocate and source of hope and care for our kids? And I said at the end of the last episode 139, I talked about Leaders Link and how I've joined this program because I want to think about exactly that question. How do we turn this startup into a going concern? But I got to tell you guys, part of the answer is this. Just being really, really clear right now. Part of the answer is every single diagnosed family, because not everyone has the grace of being diagnosed. Think about that report that hit my desk yesterday. That may or may not be a Syngap patient. We're going to have some geneticists look at it, but probably do long read. But there are a lot of people out there who have not been given a pathogenic or likely pathogenic genetic report saying you have SYNGAP1. But there's 400 of us, at least, number goes up every week. There's 400 of us in the States who have been given this. On the one hand, it's terrible news. On the other hand, it's a grace to know. And the question for us is, how are we investing in our children's future? I'll tell you the answer. People are working their butt off. People are changing their career plans. People are buying different houses. People are spending money differently. People are thinking about where they live, thinking about where their kids go to school, all the things. And I want to add to that list. It's not fair. It's too much to do. Life isn't fair. But here's something you've got to put on that list. If you really want someone to be able to pick up the phone and say, Syngap Research Fund. Oh, you're in crisis at a hospital with an IEP. You don't know what drug to take. Your doctor's never heard of Syngap. Let me put you through to the right person. Beep, beep, beep. For that to happen, we all need to be leaning in, right? We need to look at the Phoebes and the Kayas and the Reefs and the all the other families. There's another one on there I keep forgetting to mention, and it's my fault. The Kiras and the Hadleys and the Louises, the Nayas. We need to look at these families who have raised thousands of dollars and be like, my name needs to be on there. Because I'll tell you how it works, guys. We raise thousands of dollars. We give more grants. We build a bigger, stronger team. And then Syngap Research Fund goes from a startup to an institution. And that institution is there to take care of our kids as the future comes, because the future is coming. I know drugs are coming. I know precision therapies are coming. And I know that our kids are only going to get more complicated. And one of the things I now think a lot about is how do we ensure that in addition to funding drugs and collecting data and working on biomarkers and endpoints and expanding and improving clinical care, in addition to those essential things, we are building an institution. Because I will tell you right now today, there is one institution that is working day and night in the United States of America for Syngap patients. And it's the Syngap Research Fund, one and only one. And we now need to turn that into a bigger, stronger institution. And the way we do that is by saying to every family who has the grace of this diagnosis, raise money for us, volunteer with us. If you can't volunteer all the time, fine. Call me up, say, I got a month. I can do a project. I'm good at this. I'm good at that. We can take everything. We can take legal. We can take design. We can take project management. If you're a scientist or a doctor or a clinician, we can definitely take that. If you're a writer, if you're a designer, we've got so much work to do, guys. And what we're building here is an institution to last into the future and be a resource for our children and other patients like them. But B, fight like hell today. Giving these grants, I'm going to stop after this point. Giving these grants that we're giving. Every time I get a pile of grants in my inbox, I get excited and I look at them and I realize that a scientist had to go to our website, write a proposal, send it to our SAB. Our SAB had to look at it. Our CSO had to review it. Our CSO sent it to our board. Our board says yes, and then we fund it. And the only reason we can fund it is because while all that was happening, parents were doing fundraisers, birthday fundraisers, asking uncles and grandpas and aunts and whomever to write checks. And all of that comes together for us to fund research and get one more researcher or clinician fighting for our children's future. So if you are one of the countless donors, the 844 donors who gave to Spirit for Syngap, or the dozens of volunteers who are on SRF Slack and collaborating to make this institution bigger, stronger, better, and to fight for our kids, thank you. And if you haven't done that yet, come on in, the water's fine. We need you. We need to hold hands and support and build this institution to ensure that it exists into the future for our kids. Go ahead and read Jackie's article. Go ahead and read Jackie's article that I mentioned at the top of this. There's a whole lot of people out there being like, oh, autism's just different. For some, that is true. That's Jackie's point. She's saying, look, autism, we got to look at this on an individual basis. But there are some of us who have profound autism, and it severely impairs our kids' ability to function and be seen and accepted in society. And if you think about the first time you went to the SRF website and you read things and you got into the community and you finally felt seen and heard and understood, understand that today we have 400 patients, and in not too many years, we're going to have 4,000 patients. And the only way we can meet that inevitable growing surge of diagnosed patients is by building an institution today that has the capacity, the people, and the preparedness to meet those challenges. And that's going to help all of our kids. Thank you so much for your 20 minutes today. I'm going to just call this Syngap 20. Maybe I just call it the SYNGAP1 podcast because I've yet to hit 10 minutes for a long time. Thank you. Thank you to all our donors, all our volunteers. We are making the future better for Syngapians. And the more of us who lean in, who donate, who support, the sooner we get even better at this work. Take care.